Hey, what's up, guys? This is Team Hard Life Captain Alberto Zertuche, and here's my cow nose that I'm using for bait. It's about a 15 to 20 pounder, and yep, with the new shark fishing regulations that we got going on, we have to use circle hooks that are non-offset and that aren't stainless. Now, here's the other thing with the baits that we got going out right now. It's still kind of cool water, so I'm gonna go with a smaller bait just because I didn't bring a whole bunch and I wanted to just get some kind of action. So I'm doing what I call a one-hitter quitter. It's a bait small enough that most sharks can get their mouth into, but at the same time being a nice decent chunk that it will call some big ones if they are in the water. So let's check and see how I rig it up.
Gotta bite. I think I got a lot of stress on my mind. It's a nice day to go. Yeah, I gotta learn. I'ma call up the whole team.
Because bait presentation is a major thing, even when you are using cut bait or dead bait. If it's sitting there fluttering awkwardly, it can also twist up your leader and basically take you out before the fish or shark has a chance to even get to the bait. With the high currents and big waves that we were dealing with today, that was a major thing that we had to contend with, making sure our baits flowed through the water the way they were supposed to. And these are the surf weights that we are using. Right here I got a 20 ounce with the 1/8 gauge wire, and these are our long legs right there, as you can see. We've had multiple questions, and I felt it was a good time to go ahead and show y'all how I rigged it up. So it goes from our 24 foot of 500-pound mono, 600-pound mono, or 700-pound mono to 3 foot of 600-pound cable. Then it goes to the long line clip, which connects to the drop. The connection point between my mono and my cable is where I have my snap swivel, which is rated at least minimum 500 pounds, and that's where I attach my surf weight. So right here, me and Corey decided to put out some baits and go out, as a pair, so that way if one of us got in trouble, we can help each other out. Now, the deal about it is, getting through the surf and everything else, I had a PDL, which is a Predator 14, and he also had a PDL, but it is a pedal drive system from Hobie. However, he forgot his pedal drive system, so he said, you know what, I'll still go out there and kayak. So we went ahead and got it started, and then let's see how it goes. As you can see, it's not just 1 to 2s. There's some pretty gnarly ones right there on the second bar, and yep, if you're not prepared for this, you can see the current and everything pretty much taking him to the left. He's kind of holding his ground for a while, but as soon as you get over into that next bar, try to get over these waves right here, that's when it really starts to eat you up. And for me, I was lucky that I was able to engage the PDL, and I started using the PDL and my kayaking to double my ability to get over the sandbar, because those waves right there, like I said, they're getting to be about 4 foot, and yeah, they were only calling from 1 to 2s, but they pretty much picked up quickly. So I had to get out there and get out of the danger zone, because being on the sandbar is the worst place to be when kayaking baits, because that's where all the waves are forming and crashing. And then once you get over the sandbar, that's where they really pick up. And as you can see where I'm at on the right side, there are some very nice waves, and got to get the bait out though. So let's see how it goes. So the way I like to rig it up is I like to bring my circle hook from underneath the bait, from the bottom through the top, and I try to get as much hook exposure as I can, because one, I'm not broadling the bait, but this is pretty much the way I like to rig it up. And the reason I do this is because it entices all the juices to basically come out that way. And also too, when it does sit on the floor and in the current, it will stay in the current the way it's supposed to be, and not just be falling awkward, I guess is the best you can say. By being real aerodynamic, it really does help us. So So I do have to admit, once I got into the second gut, heading up to the third bar, and I was looking at them waves, and they were monster. They were really monster. And so I figured if I can go to the right a bit and see if I can time them out so I can make the cross, to get past them. But the farther down I got, I noticed they weren't letting up. One wave after another. And, I really wasn't that mad at them that day. So I figured, you know what, if I drop this in here, then I can go ahead and get some more bait into the gut. And when I did drop it, I also checked that it was probably about 12 foot there, and it was pretty deep in that one spot, which was crazy because you figure you're just in the second gut and it would be a lot shallower, but right before that next bar it got pretty deep in that one area. And so that's what I decided to do. And since I was able to do that, I was able to return to the beach with enough energy to put out some more baits. And I mean, you can see them there just crashing way over my head, and that's because I'm in front of them. They are massive waves on that third bar, and not worth it. So made it safely back to shore. Now time to re-rig another bait, get it out there, and keep doing it. Like I said, having some kind of bait even a few hundred yards out is better than having bait on the beach. We'll keep putting it out there. Like I said, I'm going to show you all the kayak that I'm using, the rack, how it looks once the baits are set and stuff like that. And it's just, you got to be safe out there. Always use your PDF, because that is the one thing that if you ever get knocked unconscious will save your life, guys. That is, even for the most experienced kayakers, that's the one thing we don't go offshore without. Sometimes it's a slip of memory or whatever, but when you're fishing with your buddies, you check each other and make sure everybody's good to go. Because that's going to be the most dreadful thing to ever happen, is to come back without one of your partners, the way y'all left together. So you see the 380s we got out on the far side of the rack, and seaweed, how it's already sliding up the lines, and that's how we dropped our bait, so that way we can ensure that the weed carries up the line instead of bowing out on it. And when it bows out on it like that and it drags your weight, doesn't matter how heavy of a weight you're using, it will catch water weight and it'll keep piling up, and it will pull them out of the way. So right here is the Old Town PDL 14 foot that I am using. Alright guys, so one of the things that I did learn while I was out there, or observed as well, was one of our partners was using the extreme braid, because that was the braid he originally had on there. And like I said, a lot of us ain't been on the sand in a while, so we haven't changed out our braids and stuff like that. So, you know, he was pretty confident in the braid using it, and I noticed a lot of twist on the line, and I mentioned it to him. That was the line that actually got droned out hours after I'd already kayaked out my bait on the 130 T-Rex by Avid. And because that bait was already out there multiple hours before his bait got out there, and then a few short hours later his bait was cut off into the beach. My bait stayed out there till the next day when we decided to reel in, which was late afternoon. And we're talking about 5 or 6 in the afternoon, and it was bombarded with seaweed and everything. So, I don't know, that's just food for thought. You know, this Cortland braid is really awesome line, and I'm going to continue using it. I mean, that was a big testament for me, was to see how it got out there and stayed out there and did not get cut off. And as we continue testing this Cortland and getting back out on the beach, we will continue doing some updates of the braid, what size class we're using, and how far we're putting it out there. Yep, because it's always a test. No matter how far we've used the gear or how many times we put it out, we're always going to keep testing. So stay tuned, guys, as we continue putting it to the test. And we're back on the beach. Stay tuned.